one of the big stories is China, right? So that they're, kids under 18 year old, they're forbidden. They actually use that forbid for playing video games for more than 3 hours a week. And considering that 62% of Chinese minors often play video games online, and a lot of those people also play mobile, that's a pretty big deal. And you know what? I've been listening to reports and some experts saying, hey, you know what? This was on the table and people should have known this. The market didn't freaking know it. $3 trillion in market cap was wiped off this industry. And they're coming back today, which is, the Activision's EA, Baidu, JD, Tencent, Alibaba, Ubisoft, which is, UA based. But, it definitely hit the market by surprise. And that's not a long time, 3 hours, is it? I mean, to play for a week? I mean, I thought it was a day because I know some people play a lot. Yeah. But that's not a lot. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it just fits the bigger narrative that everybody is experiencing right now between basically choice and control. So this is eliminating choice a lot. It's not up to the parents or individuals. It's going to be from the government over there overseas in China. What really stuck out to me is we've seen this pattern, and we've talked about this, Frank. So they've cut down on everything from online education to healthcare to video games. They basically, kidnapped Jack Ma from Alibaba, the huge Amazon. They're just cracking down. And again, it's a controlled environment. It's a controlled state. Several guests and Frank has talked about this in the past. What was interesting to me is that in the Financial Times just a couple of days ago on August 30th, George Soros, Frank, billionaire, wonderful investor, like everybody else, crazy in some situations. But he wrote an op-ed or an op-ed, however you want to say that for all you out there. And he's basically warning everybody about the risk in China, investors. And he had some pretty stern comments in this. And I encourage everybody, go to the ft.com. You can Google it. It's pretty easy. But he was talking about, he mentions how China's birth rate isn't near as high as what they claim it to be. Now, that's a whole nother rabbit trail. I'm just giving you kind of an overview. I don't even want to talk about that. But when you're in a controlled environment, Frank, it's very hard, and we're finding that out as the Federal Reserve, it's very hard to control an economy. In fact, it's impossible. You can cause crazy variations in between that, but ultimately, what's the economy, as you always point out? It's millions and millions of billions of people making individual choices in rapid pace to better their lives. That's not predictable, unless you want to take the selfish route. That's pretty easy there, Frank. But so he talks about, hey, what President Xi is doing over there in China is unlike anything anybody has ever seen from the investing world and the power that they have. He pointed out that, and Frank, I didn't know this. This is great because a lot of this, listen, it's important to understand these macro events and what's going on because, as you just said, it's $3 trillion. You've seen all kinds of trades or opportunities get hammered hard. The Uber of China, when they pulled that when they pulled the app off right after they went public over here, Frank, a lot of investors got burned on that. Soros points out that unnoticed by financial markets, the Chinese government quietly took a stake and a board seat in TikTok owner ByteDance in this past April. Now, I know there was crackdowns. I remember during the Trump administration, there was talks about selling that and forcing them, ByteDance, to disinvest TikTok for quote-unquote security reasons, as they all point out. But Frank, I didn't know that. That for all the headlines you've seen, did you know that they have a board seat and a stake in ByteDance? I didn't know that, the Chinese government. I actually knew that. So that's impressive. I didn't see that along the several headlines.
Well, it's smart because that's going to be the biggest social media company, bigger than Facebook.
Right, absolutely. It smart or corrupt or however you want to point that. I'm just saying that's a big influence on that. And Soros is actually talking about how pension fund managers are allocating and they don't meet any requirements based on their, quote, ESG, environmental, social, government standards and investment decisions. So he points out that one of the most widely worldly indexes, the MSCI, All Country World Index, has about 5 trillion in passively managed assets and exposure to China. Now, what do all powerful people do, Frank, when you want to change something? You call on your powerful friends. So he is urging the U.S. Congress to pass a bipartisan, there's a key word there, Frank, because everybody gets along, bipartisan bill explicitly requiring the asset managers invest only in companies where actual government structures are both transparent and aligned with stakeholders. How the hell do you expect that to be enforced from overseas?
Oh, especially from China. I mean,
exactly.
About everything, right? I mean,
but think about what's going on here. You have a situation where you have a ton of volatility around all kinds of names, from technology to the Didi, which is up over 10% today, the Uber of China, the Alibabas, the Tencent that you talked about earlier. You have all this gray area and craziness overhanging the control and the implements they can, or the controls they can implement quickly and overnight over there. And now you have a very powerful connected person calling on them. What if they, let's just play the what if game. What if they did pass something like this? $3 trillion would be nothing compared to what the market valuations would get wiped out on this. If managers actually had to be able to prove what they could prove over in China before they could invest, you'd have a rush for the exits, would you not? Am I missing something here? That's crazy.
No, it is crazy. I mean, the ByteDance and TikTok. I mean, if anybody goes on, I'd say it's addicting as hell, but it's entertaining. It's fun. You laugh all the time. It's cool. It's not like, Twitter where everybody hates each other, or Facebook where, you get stupid comments even from friends and stuff. It's a totally different. I feel like TikTok got it right where it's what social media is supposed to be about. It's just, you're connecting, it's fun, it's happy, it's laughter, it's cool. And again, from me being on other social media platforms, I really like it because it's entertaining as hell. But so aside of that, and even the much bigger story, I think the much, much bigger story here, Daniel, is, in terms of, the 3 hours in videos, I think that's great for the U.S. kids. Because I got to be honest with you, I don't know if you played video games. Have you played video games growing up or no? Have you?
Growing up, yeah, I did.
Okay, well, I played them pretty much as a grown up as well.
Yeah,
and when you play like Call of Duty, when you play especially Fortnite with my daughters, I got to tell you, man, those kids from China. I mean, you start the game, you're like, yeah, let's go, boom, you're dead, and like they sniper shot, boom, like you can't even play against them because I don't know if it's that they're on all day, but I got to tell you. It's going to be a lot. I think it's going to be a boom. They might make it up with you because a lot of people don't play because of that. They got to play like different levels and lower levels because these kids are just so amazing. They like pick you off. They're great. They play everything. They know every trigger book and have everything. So I think it's a positive.
So this is a good thing to level the playing field. Gamer,
it's going to definitely level the playing field.
That.
And anyone, I don't care who you are out there, you're going to agree with that. It's kind of amazing. I played against people in China, people in Japan, people everywhere, and I'm telling you, man, it's. They're really good. Now, I don't know if they put more hours in, that's it. So we'll level the playing field. But all kidding aside here, and actually I wasn't really kidding about that, but you want to look at different names. And I can tell you the name that I love the most is Take-Two. I think they have the most limited exposure to China, where everybody wants to create these, metaverse universes where, these virtual reality, whatever, you go inside the platform, the Roblox and the Fortnites. And I always saw that, a little bit as a negative because you see how much money Fortnite makes, where they're making, last time I looked was a year ago, it was $300 million plus a month right off that platform. Which, think about that, how much money they make. Incredible. And Roblox is making a fortune as these kids play it. But with Take-Two, they don't have too much exposure to that. And I think they're going to benefit, or this isn't going to hurt them. I would look at how much exposure you have to China. Not only that, it's how much money, how much revenue. It's easy to see segmented revenue from these companies of how much is made through, not easy, but through all platforms and Capital IQ, Bloomberg, who use Bloomberg, you could find that. But you want to see who's most leveraged China. It's definitely going to impact, but I don't think it's going to impact the whole industry the same. When you see news like this is where it pays to be like an analyst and do your homework because some companies get hit on news and they don't deserve to get hit because it's like industry news, and others, are going to do well and go higher, and they'll bring up even the garbage ones sometimes. But I think there's separation here, and I really like Take-Two. That's one of the names that are in a portfolio that was still up a lot on. I thought that it would be a lot higher, but I think it is going through 200 very easily in the next couple months. So about 20% upside. But I really like this name compared to a lot of other ones. But I would dig in and see who has the most exposure to China. Maybe find a couple of articles. I'll be doing some of that research as well. But that's how you find the best ideas in a space. When something like this happens and it's a macro event, it usually takes down the whole entire space. And then you want to do your research and say, okay, which name do I want to buy on this pullback? What do I want to buy which doesn't have exposure to this, but is getting hurt because maybe they're in an ETF or maybe there's whatever, but there's just a sell-off among the whole industry. And that's how you can capture lots of games because you're going to be able to buy at a discount. Also look for insiders buying these names. If insiders are buying, then they know that this isn't really a big deal to them. And you might see some insider buying in the coming weeks, which, again, you could find almost any place, a lot of free sites. We use briefing.com and different sites for that. But that's how I look at this industry, and that's how I look at this news, because I do think there's opportunities. You're seeing a lot of these names bounce back today, but they did take a pretty big hit on this news in the previous days. So,
yeah, that's a great point on industry news versus specific news. I point this out just because I'm going to continue digging into this because this isn't going to go away. So the risks that are associated with China, and China it's massive population, huge growth engine, very critical to the world economy and in different sectors. And obviously there's you can't say enough about the growth story and the potential there. However, don't blindly invest in anything in general, but know these risks. You can look at this is a trading opportunity around certain names, but there's plenty out there to buy blindly, if you will, and you want to be really lazy. So just take that into consideration, know what's out there. But yeah, to your point, industry news that knocks down specific well-run companies like Take-Two would be buying opportunities. Absolutely.